I collect no's. No's don't scare me. They don't turn me off. When somebody gives me a no, that's two things I know. For one, there's only a certain number of no's I'm going to get till I get a yes. And I know that no puts me one closer. For sure, it's a mathematical certainty. But I also know that if I do that right and I handle that no correctly, I'm going to be on their brain. Later on down the road, somebody who's going to say something to them, they're going to see it and go, damn, I still have his card. Or I get to go back and I turn that no into a yes. So no's aren't bad. They're delayed yeses in a lot of cases, or they're unrealized references. I was driving a dump truck 2 years ago, so this is a huge upgrade for me. Brother, remember 3 years ago, I made my first video on social media, and it's 3 years later. I have 1.3 million followers and 400 million views. Like, it's crazy to me.
My fellow side hustlers, it's Elijah Blau with the Side Hustler Society. Or I guess this season is more so full-time hustlers because that's kind of the theme for this season. We're really catering towards people who want to go full-time and take that leap of faith into entrepreneurship or freelancing. And we got an action-packed show for y'all today. Y'all have heard me talk about networking a few times on the podcast. So we dived into it in 2 episodes last season. And you know what's changed since then? Not a damn thing. Networking is still a critical piece of any kind of major success that you're going to have really in life, but it goes double if you're going to be in business for yourself because business to some degree is the art of managing and making relationships. There's no better demonstration of this than what's going to happen on this podcast today. So I'm going to be talking to one of the people that I met at 2025's Vidsummit. His name is George Sedberry, and he's actually an ex-con who travels and speaks at HBCUs. He has also walked 2,800 miles across America. And you might be wondering exactly how we're going to talk about networking in such a detailed manner, given what I just said in his bio. Well, when you put the pieces together, him being an ex-con is part of the reason he's so good at networking because there are certain doors that are closed, once you have a felony on your record. So if you are going to progress, you're going to have to get more creative. And oftentimes it's going to really be about who you know and not about, just filling out some paperwork, etc. Regardless of how things turn out, he still does what he needs to do to reach his goal within reason. And part of that includes a lot of networking. During this show, we talked about a few ways to become the center of attention if you're in a group setting so that you can build relationships and potentially get things done that you wouldn't be able to get done before, have access to people you wouldn't have access to before, and have access to certain positions you wouldn't have access before simply by doing these tactics. We also talk about various forms of networking in general so that you can make friends, build contacts, and build connections. And I need y'all to remember what I said. He is a former felon. So there are doors that were closed to him, but he has the ability to open them just from his networking skills. So I'm tired of saying the word network and at least saying it alone. So let's go ahead and bring him on the show.
Welcome to the Side Hustlers Society Podcast, the place where you can find out more about the hustles that are best for you. And of course, make more money in the process. Elijah has been in the gig economy and freelance space for over 8 years and has done over 4,000 deliveries on Uber Eats. Has several video editing clients, many properties on Airbnb, runs multiple YouTube channels, and is the author of the best-selling book, The Anatomy of Financial Success. It's his mission to empower people with the tools needed to be successful. Now, welcome your host, the king of the side hustles, Elijah Blau.
Okay, here we are. George, how's your day going so far?
Man, I'm living somebody's dream. I just don't know whose yet.
Well, hopefully it's your own too, right?
God, no. Here's the thing. I'm living somebody else's dream right now because what am I going to do if I catch mine? Right? I'm tired of chasing my dream. So I figured in 10 years, I'm going to call it up and say, hey, just meet me in a Pizza Hut parking lot somewhere. I'm tired of chasing you. But until then, if I catch my dream, then what's going to be my dream? I've spent my whole life trying to figure out what my dream is. And if I catch it, I'm screwed. I need that dream to keep moving.
You know, me and my friend yesterday, we just had a conversation about this because he had to kind of reevaluate his goals because he was getting too comfortable. He owns a janitorial business, and it's they're approaching $250,000 in revenue, and he takes care of his people. So what he makes off that is a little different, and it's been going pretty well. And he started to get kind of comfortable because he is starting to get. He used to have to go out and get contracts, but contracts are starting to come to him. And as they're coming in, he's kind of like, well, do I really need this? No, maybe I should just chill. But there's that other side of saying, no, you better take this, get this money. And he listens to the get the money side. So you have to sit down and we're having a conversation about it. I said, why don't you define what complacency is? Maybe when you reach $1 million in revenue, which would mean that you would personally be making $250,000 and paying your employees good. Maybe that's complacent, but right now, probably not so, right? It's like, yeah, you're right. And I recently felt that way too, because the way I saw the problem, I needed to get in rooms that were full of people considerably bigger than me, and I need to do that on a regular basis. Because if you get too big, by default, you start to get complacent. If you're too big in your current circle, that means you need to expand.
Yeah, kind of what that feels like now. Brother, remember 3 years ago, I made my first video on social media, and it's 3 years later. I have 1.3 million followers and 400 million views. Like, it's crazy to me.
Yeah. That's why
it's easy to get complacent if you're not careful.
Yeah. That's why it's always an ongoing process.
And if you don't continue to evolve, you'll die. Your platform, what you do, your business, if you don't continue to, elevate and evolve, basically. Separate and elevate, then you're either growing or you're dying. And that's kind of true to everything. Your marriage, your business, your school.
Yeah. Not really much middle ground. You're either going to be doing it or you're not going to be doing it. Kind of like the scenario of either you're early or late. Kind of the same scenario.
Yeah, and trust me, for most of my life, I was busy making excuses for myself. Avoidance issues, right? I was more scared of success than I was failure.
Oh man, that's powerful. Did you get that from a quote? Was that a quote? Because if it's not, you might want to trademark it and get paid.
I'm sure I've heard it before, but I had to ask myself, I know I'd been asked that before, what am I more scared of? And I realized it was success, because I didn't know what success looked like. I know what failure looks like, man. I'm good at failure. Failure's been my best friend, and I'm okay with that. But success, it only takes once to be right, to be really successful, right? Just once. So I could never seem to find that once. So that scared me more.
Interesting. I say interesting because a lot of people have the in reverse. But if you're a master at failing, once you do learn about success and get comfortable with it, like the world is pretty much there for the taking. But if you have the in reverse, all you've experienced is success, but you're afraid of failure. Oh, you're gonna hit that cap that we just talked about. You're gonna hit that pretty fast, and you'll be emotionally stagnant, and you won't be able to go anywhere. So if you had to pick between the two, I'd rather love to fail and be afraid of success initially than learn how to deal with success than the other way around.
I collect no's. No's don't scare me. They don't turn me off. When somebody gives me a no, that's two things I know. For one, there's only a certain number of no's I'm going to get till I get a yes. And I know that no puts me one closer. For sure, it's a mathematical certainty. But I also know that if I do that right and I handle that no correctly, I'm going to be on their brain. Later on down the road, somebody who's going to say something to them, they're going to see it and go, damn, I still have his card. Or I get to go back and I turn that no into a yes. So no's aren't bad. They're delayed yeses in a lot of cases, or they're unrealized references.
Yeah. What's the saying in sales? The fortune is in the follow-up.
90% relationship, 10% business too.
Nice. Nicely put. But speaking on that topic, and even more so about the content creation we were talking about initially, the audience knows that we met at Vidsummit, and I know when we had the Vidsummit panel, you did want to join, but you were too tied up that day. But I'm actually kind of curious. What were your thoughts on Vidsummit?
It's my first time to go to something like that, and I thought it was well run. But like I'd asked you and other content creators, what did you learn about content creation? What did they teach you? They told their successes and their stories, but I didn't feel like anybody's being taught anything. And so For the networking purposes, it was good, but I didn't find that the panels had a lot of benefit. Not to me, anyway.
Interesting.
I mean, I asked a lot of people, and a lot of people were there. A majority of people I talked to are interested in content creation. They hadn't really gone out and done it like you built platforms, but most people hadn't. And they paid a lot of money to come learn about it and rub elbows, right, with big creators. I didn't see that like I thought I would.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that's part of the reason when I had that Vidsummit panel, I know a lot of people have an issue with networking. Well, particularly in the content creation space. When I say issue, I don't necessarily mean like they have a problem with it. I mean they don't actually know how to. Like I even shared this scenario during the stream where like, look, I saw people doing the not the after party, but the initial party, the welcome party, and everyone's talking, having a good time, and there was always trading of like people circling the roof, just circling the roof, just circling the roof, like looking for someone to talk to. And I actually got tired of seeing people do that. So I started to circle, like, hey, you come over here and have a conversation with them and physically teach them how to enter a conversation with a group of people because they're looking for someone else who's lonely and not doing anything. And like, that's not going to exist in that type of environment. Everyone is in a group talking. You got to have some scenario to get in that group and get in that conversation, or you might as well be doing a workout at that point, just circling the roof, getting your steps in.
Well, but I've learned there's 3 tricks to networking. It's be kind, be fearless, and be first.
Ooh.
And when I say be kind, all you have to do to start a conversation is look somebody from head to toe and find one organic thing about them to compliment. Like, dude, I love those shoes. Where did you get those? Oh man, I got these last year, and how much? I got them on sale. I love them. Man, my name's George. What's your name? That's it. People don't remember what you say to them. They remember how you make them feel. So I don't care if I came up and told you got a booger coming out of your nose. If it saves you, right, you're going to be grateful. And that's how you're going to file the memory of meeting me away. They're not going to necessarily remember the booger or that I complimented your shoes. You're just going to remember, hey, he was a nice guy. But if you be the first to do it and you're fearless, because people love to be complimented, you just be kind. It's all you have to do to network.
Yeah. And it makes you memorable because like you got to tap into someone's emotions in order to be memorable. And that's a very organic way to do that off the cusp.
Just be kind. Compliments, I mean, there's a million things polite you can say to a person, and they know you're coming up to them for the purpose of networking. It's not like they're not aware, but it's the way you do it, like you said. It's the way you made them feel, what they remember about that transaction. And your net worth is your network is your net worth. And so I want to know everybody.
Hey, I'm pretty sure everyone has heard that, but keep hearing it so it can sink in because it's true.
And that conference, I met a lot. I met you. You came up to me first, remember?
Yeah.
And we talked for a long time. And but I appreciated the fact you were direct. You came up, you introduced yourself. That's the way you're supposed to do it. And here I am on your podcast.
Hey, the proof is in the pudding, right? It's right in front of you.
But I don't know. I don't. I think about this. People want to be content creators too, and they go to events like this, and they don't have that confidence. And I think people, when it comes to making content, and at these, same with networking, you don't want to be rejected, and you're scared to be embarrassed or scared to be judged. I think that's what most people will tell you their number one hangup is. But when they realize hurt people, and others project their misery onto you, even though they don't know you, once you understand it, then those things don't bother you anymore.
Right. Yeah. Well, honestly, I'm actually kind of flirting with the idea of starting another YouTube channel. And the audience, don't hold me to it. I said I'm flirting with the idea. I said I'm going to do it. So no one clip this and say, he says he's going to start a new YouTube channel. Wait, no. I said I'm thinking about it. But just starting a channel just based around social dynamics because I'm seeing it's very much needed. Sup, this is Future Me, and I guess the joke's on me because I actually did end up starting that channel. It's called Social Dynamics with Elijah Blau, and the link to it is going to be in the description. So be sure to go and check it out because on that channel, I actually talk about different tactics I use to network, build connections, and build influence. I'm also going to be covering how to make friends, how to maintain friendships, and how to network with people or make friends with people that are on a different social hierarchy than yourself, whether they're quote unquote above you because they have more influence, and how to manage relationships from people that are your peers or people who you are a few steps ahead of. These are very critical soft skills that you need to know if you're going to be successful in life and definitely in business and entrepreneurship. So go check it out. Back to the podcast.
Yeah, I think social media, even though it's the bread and butter of my life, it alienates us, right? It separates us from community. We don't talk and interact as much. I'm learning that kids don't know how to read body language anymore because
Nope.
most of everything's through their phone, not the interpersonal communication.
Yeah, I'll come back to Vidsummit in a sec, but that's part of the reason I'm so. If you've been keeping up with the news, you probably already heard that Netflix is trying to buy Warner Brothers, and ironically, Paramount is trying to backdoor their way into the deal, which is interesting. But I really don't want. There's a few people who, if they got it, I would have been fine with it. If Universal got it, I'd be fine. Maybe Sony, but Netflix is like the worst case scenario for me because that's kind of in my book like the end of cinema. Theatrical releases are going to start. The windows are going to get smaller, assuming they go there at all. Movies might just start going directly to streaming, and the reason I have a problem with that is even though cinema ultimately probably will become outdated, that's just an excuse for people to leave the house and socialize. Like I'm just thinking of like so many memories I had in high school and like middle school, where we would just go to the movies and that played a role in like shaping, my sociality as a person along with my friends. And you get rid of that conduit, and too many people are just on this and they play their PS5s and they just don't know how to interact with human beings. And you're taking another avenue or an excuse for them to get out the house and just learn how to socialize.
But I'll throw back at you. When I used to go to the movies, $5 got you a Coke, popcorn, and the ticket. And now it's like $25 to do it. I
That's a
got
fair
tired
point.
of being commoditized by movies. Like F1, that was a great movie, a Formula One,
Mhm.
but we were the product, right? All those brands were advertising to. That was that was brilliantly done marketing wise in that movie. We're the product. Right? I had to pay to watch it to be constantly advertised to. And so I think people get tired of that. I agree with the social aspect. I don't know what it takes to get people out more, but we're addicted to the dopamine rush from social media gives us. Like the dog knows how to, the Pavlov's dog experiment, ring the bell, eat the food. Like I catch myself. So it's changing the way we view content. So cinema is kind of a dying art because, I make 3-minute documentaries that go viral, but I make a 10-minute video. No one's going to care.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it is the direction of the current technology, and it's going to happen eventually. Maybe I just don't want it to happen so fast. It's been happening gradually. Let it keep happening gradually as opposed to like the next 2 or 3 years, quite literally.
Yeah, but with change, with chaos comes opportunity. I mean, every time stuff is chaotic because regimes are going to change, administrations are going to change. It's going to be Democrat, Republican. It's always going to be that way. But let's say Paramount comes in. Who's to say the next administration doesn't break them up as a monopoly? That's been done before in American history. Our government can do that.
Yeah, they
Like
actually might do that with this in this case. Some
there's a
people are saying, yeah, go ahead.
no, just say there's a lot of things that aren't going to be permanent. It just feels permanent in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
That's about
Twitter's
right.
was. You saw what happened to Twitter, didn't you? They got absorbed by AI, XAI, right? They just did a stock swap, so it just validated XAI as a company and valuation out of thin air. So if you own that stock, it now got transferred over. Like they're playing games with this. So much of it's not real. The valuation, so it's going to come down, and in that chaos will be opportunity.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm more of a casual gamer this time around. We'll get back to the topic in a sec, but yeah, I used to. I haven't played in like a year, but like Grand Theft Auto. Yeah, I follow Take Two Stock, which is a Rockstar's publisher. And, Grand Theft Auto 6 was supposed to release in. Uh, it was supposed to release earlier, but it got postponed, and that stock tanked. And I already knew it was going to get postponed by at least 6 to 12 months to line up with the holiday season in 2026. But also, games have a certain pattern. They drop a certain number of trailers, and once the final trailer drops, that reveals like probably the most it's going to reveal in the game. Then from there, that's when it comes out like 6 months later. We hadn't even got that or any teasers for that. So I knew it was going to get delayed. And when it did, that stock price was going to tank. And when it did, I was ready to buy some more.
That's what you do. I mean, I'm telling you, a little birdie told me Red Hat's going to drop precipitously in January, and to buy it when it does, and that IBM is a good buy right now. So I put a little skin in the game, and I'll wait on Red Hat just to see, because I mean, it's a weird market right now.
Oh yeah, but there's opportunity in chaos.
Every time, and people don't make money when the stock market's at its highest. They make it when it crashes because your dollar buys so much more. The greatest wealth transfer in American history happened during the last recession.
Yeah,
All those foreclosures, all the private equity bought those houses, investors like just transferred trillions of dollars of wealth. They found the opportunity.
right. Yeah, let me circle back to Vidsummit because some people are going to be wondering, like, Elijah, is this a financial anatomy show? Because y'all are getting heavy into the stocks and whatnot. Not necessarily, but closing out on a Vidsummit, is there something you feel they could have did to make it better in your opinion?
More dynamic speakers. The rooms I stuck my head in, nobody grabbed my attention. Except the oil guy, the guy that goes through, and I forgot his name. He follows me now on social media. He was a NASCAR guy. He's an oil expert. He was probably one of the most engaging people that I've seen. But again, I think a lot of creators, they're very different in person as opposed to the personality you see online. I'm going to say 8 out of 10 people I meet that way. And I know a lot. I have a lot of friends that are big creators, and a lot of them are super talented in their bedrooms and living room.
Gotcha. So
you get them into person.
There. Okay.
Do what?
There's a bit of a schism there.
There is. I don't feel like I didn't get value for my money, but I mean, I'm also not starting off in content. I think a lot of people were there who were interested in starting, but even then, I don't know. It was a well-run event. I just wasn't impressed with what they offered.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, and that's why I ask these questions, because they do watch these videos so they can get the feedback, make improvements, etc. Yeah. So kind of going into it, I know you have a lot of things going on, George. You have a pretty extensive background. So if someone was to ask you overall, what do you do? What answer do you give them? I know you're like me. You can do many things, but what is
I tell stories and I hug necks for a living. I hug a lot of beautiful women's necks and I tell stories.
I don't think anyone's going to have any problem with that. I know I wouldn't.
I was driving a dump truck 2 years ago, so this is a huge upgrade for me.
Got you. Okay.
I really was.
No, I believe you. I do. But generally speaking, like you're a content creator. I know.
I teach Black history. I go to historically Black colleges. I talk about my experiences in prison, horrible dad jokes. I didn't curate a page. I built the page around my personality, all my platforms. But the most important thing I do to create content, I go all over America. Like I live on the road. I travel constantly. I don't have a home or an apartment. So my life is literally going from one place to the next and telling those stories. And so doing that has allowed me to build a big community.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, I got a white face teaching Black history. It hits people differently, I guess. I don't know why.
One can only wonder, right?
I mean, especially with my past, it's in juxtaposition against to what I do now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's actually kind of go with that. So, like, how do you end up getting booked on? Like, how do you speak at college campuses? Because I'm pretty sure that has a system in itself of getting booked.
Actually, for me, I'll go to a lot of events, homecomings, etc. A lot of professors will reach out to me, meet me, like, would you come talk to my class or at this school? A lot of what I do is classroom speaking, and a lot of times I can create viral content out of that classroom. because
Oh,
people like to see dynamic speakers with a live audience, right? It's just our brain likes it. So I've learned, I'll tell the kids, the students, like, hey, do y'all want to make a viral video? They're kind of like, I know the formula, right? But a lot of it is just relationships. When I say my net worth is my network, I have relationships with probably 60 colleges that I deal with.
hmm
So in that case, a lot of people ask me, and it's a scheduling deal, but that's how I get into the colleges is I just go out and meet people where they are, offer value, and they see it and they're like, hey, would you come? So that's how I did it.
that's refreshing to hear because so many people they really, when I ask something like that, they're really looking for some magic. I don't want to say shortcut. They're actually willing to put in the work, but what they're expecting to hear is, so you fill out this form or you do this stuff online, or like it's usually some online stuff, but they don't actually think about the traditional way of networking, which is you go to where your target market is and who can give you the opportunity to just give value. And oftentimes they'll request your presence to give value to their audience. Now that's how it used to be before the internet. Like you didn't have a choice but to do it like that.
Yeah,
And
but
what's really changed?
Instagram to me is the most powerful platform in the world by far. YouTube may pay more. Instagram is how you can connect with everybody. And I mean everybody. There's it's been wild the people I've spoke to through Instagram or connected with or been able to go hang out with because of it. Like mind blowing to me. Oscar, I've talked to Olympic gold medalists, Oscar winners, Grammy winners in my DMs, met them all from Instagram.
Hmm.
But it's congressmen, governors.
And do they reach out to you? Do you reach out to them, or is it a little of both?
Their staff, a little about the elected officials. All I got, they landed in my lap. That all came to me.
hmm
Um, a lot of people I just randomly meet, or they send me DMs out of the blue, or somebody surprises introduction to me. I used to think chasing big names could somehow lift me up. That would help my profile, right? Like everybody does.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't have any success clout chasing, and I gave up on it early, which is probably one of the best things I ever did because unless it's Kim Kardashian or Snoop or Jamie Foxx or somebody giving you a shout out or The Rock, it's not going to matter. Somebody with a million followers giving you a shout out usually is not going to move the needle unless they tell a story about you that the audience can connect with. Otherwise, it doesn't really have an impact. And once I learned it, I stopped chasing it.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, I know that is a common fallacy. Like if I can just get a shout out from a big enough person, or even a big enough person like in your particular niche, then that'll be the end all be all. It's not that simple.
No, it's not at all. And people don't do what they say they're going to do. Again, I had a very distorted perception of how this worked
Hmm.
because I didn't know. Now I realize if you just build your own lane and you stick to it, because consistency beats talent 100% of the time. If you develop your niche and you commit to it and you continue to work to get better, your audience will find you. And when they do, it will multiply. All
hmm
you have to do. It's not rocket science.
Yeah, I think Roberto Blake has a saying about this: bring the big creator energy.
Yeah.
hmm
The other, I reach out to, I made a lot of friends with a lot of big name creators because I reached out and asked questions. And a lot of my favorite thing to do is, can I pick your brain about something? I'm not asking them to give me anything and I'm not asking them to help me. But what I want is their subjective opinion on something. And I have learned a lot from doing that.
Gotcha. Cool. So swinging back to the your, it still falls under the category of public speaking to me. Like when you go and speak to let's say a series of students at the campuses. Some people might be asking, do you look to monetize that, or and if so, like how do you do it? Because
Yeah.
in that case, oh, go ahead.
No, I have a speaking agent that
hmm
I have they handle all the contracts and stuff for me. When I come to speak at historically black colleges, I never charge a dime for that. That's just not part of what my platform is about. But professional speaking gigs, yes. But a lot of times people reach out to me about it. But
hmm
if you don't, since people want to know how to be a speaker, you have to position yourself as a speaker. You have to create content of you speaking so people can start to see you as a speaker. If you sit there and go, I'm a good speaker and I just really want to be a speaker, and you tell people, they don't know anything about you as a speaker, right?
Yeah.
You have to speak to be a speaker. So you can artificially create the environments you speak in. Now, for one, if you're a beginner, put a microphone on stage in an empty room and put your camera slightly off angle and look like you're talking to the crowd. People will never know. If you're really catchy in editing, put a little crowd noise in if you need. It's simple. It's a sound effect. But you give the impression, right? So people begin to conceptualize you as that speaker.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one way to do it, is you have to show people what it looks like when you speak. Then you have to be willing to market yourself. Because again, unless you tell people you're a professional speaker, nobody knows. And agents don't go find you business. Let me repeat that. Speaking agents don't go find you business. What they do is they handle the negotiations and the contracts. They take their piece. They're very handy and useful to protect you, but it's rare they get the business unless somebody happens to be on the website and sees and calls and asks about you. So you got to drum up your business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember I had guy's name is Brendan, and he has a YouTube channel called Master Talks, and he his whole channel is about how to do public speaking, and he did recommend, if you want to get into public speaking, he didn't recommend what you just said. That's a great tactic, but he did say a lot of you could start virtual and just stay consistent with it and start hosting like these quote unquote speaking things for free. And once you get enough momentum, then you can start going after people who and speaking to their audience directly.
I would think that would be a very long, painful way to do it. You could go to real estate. If you, depending on what your message is, you can call all kinds of groups that have meetings and say, I'd like to come speak. I feel like it's free. My message I feel is important. I'm trying to be a speaker and I'm trying to hone my craft. You'd be surprised the number of places that'll say, yeah, we'd love to have you speak.
Right.
You know how, for my first speaking gig ever was the Apollo Theater in Harlem, right? My first professional ever was that. That's a big stage to be on. Do you know how I got ready for it? I did stand up, open mic nights. I
I
didn't go
can
tell,
believe that.
yeah, I didn't go tell jokes. I did tell a couple of jokes at the Apollo, but I told history lessons, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to get ready for it, I went to open mic stand up because I had to, like, my nerves, my leg was shaking, my mouth was dry. That's a lot of pressure, but if you can do that, you can speak on stage.
Yeah, I personally love that. Like, if you're afraid of something, you have a phobia or something, do something that's on the phobia list. Do something higher on the phobia list than what you're afraid of. And once you do that, what you were afraid of, it's like, man, this ain't nothing.
Everything you've ever wanted, everything is on the other side of the thing you fear the most.
Yeah, kind of like if you're going to stay consistent, by definition, what you're running from, you run to, right?
Do everything in moderation, but moderation.
Mm-hmm. So,
I love that.
So if someone did, what's your opinion about like Toastmasters? Would you say that's still worth getting involved with, or?
It's basically all speaking is practice and networking. So Toastmasters is a great network, but you're in a network of people who want to speak and compete with you. It's a great experience, right? No knocks there. But when I tell people, if you want to network, don't go to networking events. Everybody's there to do the same thing, right? You're all making lateral moves. I never go to something that says networking. Why? We're all competing for the same little, what we perceive, the slice of something that's going to be there for us, right? Like I was in a room with a billionaire on Friday. Okay. And I've met several now. It's not as cool as I used to think it was, but nice guy, right? And I'm like, cool. But now that I've met him somewhere down the road, know people who know him, I'm not going to ask the dude for anything ever, but I know how to reach him if I need to, right? I was in a room that wasn't for networking, but I knew what was going to be in that room and I made sure I had a seat in it.
I got a story to share. My audience knows I've been involved in real estate for a few years, but I've expanded into recently getting involved in houses and different strategies. And there's a local organization that I've gotten involved with, and they have regular real estate networking events. So I might go ahead and I go to those events, but I have a different mentality. Like, we're talking and we're networking, but usually these networking events is surface level. It never is going to go any deeper, and it really can't go any deeper because there's just too many people. It's not an intimate environment. So eventually, everyone was like, we're going to go ahead and go to lunch. Some people had already left, but hey, everyone, we're going to lunch. And I was talking with this real estate investor. He has much more experience than me, and he's a millionaire. And he said he probably wasn't going to go to lunch. He's going to head home after this. And he was talking to me and one other person. And my friend David asked if I was going to go to lunch with him. I said, no, I'm not. And he had to go. But people were kind of wondering in the story, why didn't I go to lunch with them? There's more people I can network with there. And even the founder of the group's wife, who she's heavily involved in it, she went to lunch too. So people thinking, well, don't you want to get to know her? Like, look, there's at least 10 people that went with that group. Okay. So I'm going to have to be competing with all those people just to get a few words in. And I also need to find some way to be memorable. That sounds like a challenge, but my whole idea was I need to network with someone that has much more experience than me. Maybe we can partner on a future real estate deal. And he's right in front of me. And the only other person he's talking to is me and this other guy. Once you get beyond two people, beyond three people in the conversation, you start to lose some of that intimacy. So the three of us just kept talking, and eventually the other guy, he had to go, and eventually it's just me and him talking. And that's when I played my ace because he doesn't have any experience in rental arbitrage or short-term rentals, but he has some properties he's considering for it. So then I was able to offer him value because I've been in that for a few years, and now we're mutually exchanging value. I got his number, and I can reach out to him if I want to. But if I went with that big group to try and salvage some networking there, I guarantee you that wouldn't happen.
Can I point out an opportunity there? I know you can only be in one of two places, right? But let's say you would have went to the big group, and these are all people fighting for each other's attention, right? Something I've learned is at a party like that, whenever you get a quiet moment, I've learned to say certain things that I can literally take control of that table, right? I can become the most interesting person. It's anybody can do it. It's just timing a win. So say it's quiet, I'll be like, and I'll say something like, the first murder I saw in prison or the first stabbing I saw in prison was an argument over who was the better Dallas Cowboys quarterback, Staubach or Aikman. And I'm like, duh, Pittsburgh Steelers. That whole table goes quiet because I said the first stabbing or murder I saw in prison. And they are all like, it doesn't matter anything from that point on, right? And I'll just say a little bit and I'll stop and I'll let everybody else talk. But I became the most interesting person at that table. And most people will come up to me and give me their number.
Ooh, that's a good hack. And if you're this is Side Hustler Society podcast, but the theme of this season, we're really talking about like being self-employed and kind of surviving without a job. So we live very interesting lives by default, okay? And if you're out here, really networking and you do what you just said, you're gonna have something interesting to shout out that everyone's gonna be like, well, I want to know more about that. Like, what's with this dude? Like, it just strikes curiosity. Now, I wouldn't be surprised after you said that. Obviously, whatever conversations were happening, it is going to stop, and someone's going to ask,
"What?
So, what?
Bro, I've done that with old white people at a nice dinner table. I did that to the chairman of the board of the National Science Foundation. I've shocked some people. They're like, because I don't come across like I spent years in prison, but yeah, something else about being self-employed. Being a content creator as a business is more difficult than anybody can imagine. I don't think people understand it as a business, as a hobby or something fun. It's one thing. I've been self-employed before in my early 20s. I had a real successful moving company. But as I've gone on, I've always been now a W-2 or 1099. I had consistent income. But when I stepped out on my own 2 years ago, all that went away. Healthy. I mean, like I had nothing, and I had to stop looking at my cash as money. Right? Cash is cash. It is not money. The world moves with money, not cash. And by money, that's arbitrary thing that you can buy stuff with or the perception of money. Right? Elon Musk doesn't have 200, $300 billion cash. That dude don't even have $1 billion in cash he can touch.
Right.
It's all paper. So when I learned the perception of money is where the real value is and how money moves, and it's not the $40 in my pocket I'm worried about, it started to change my mind. It started to open things up like, that's how they do it. I don't need to know how to make a widget. I just need to know somebody who knows somebody with a manufacturing facility. That's all I need to know.
Mm-hmm.
I just learned that that network will take care of all the things that you don't know. And if all you do is know people and you have an idea, that's all you need.
Yeah, I've learned a version of that myself this year. Like getting involved in this real estate, what's called the Real Estate Investment Association of Texas. But getting involved with them, like there's a lot of things. I'm not going to say they're fallacies because I knew there was some room for flexibility, but looking deeper, like the metrics that the dominant society has to abide by, like credit scores and stuff like that. Now, I'm not saying like tank your credit. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that that's presented as a barrier to not to be able to get certain things. Like if you have bad credit, you'll never be able to buy a house. And that's not necessarily true because in real estate, most real estate investors actually get their wealth through subject to or mortgage assignment. That's essentially there's no checking of the credit score in order to buy a house like that. So even if you had horrible credit, you could still quote unquote become a homeowner. And that's just one of 12 strategies. And it just kind of flipped the dichotomy of just you need to question stuff that the dominant society just perceives as like a barrier or you have to do it this way. Just question that. And when you do question it, do some research, you'll find that most of that stuff is bullshit.
Oh, I spent 10 years in the mortgage game. I couldn't agree more. I've learned, but the best piece of advice I have I've learned is learn all the rules and then break them. So just as a wild tangent example, like being in prison, I had to rebuild my credit up, right? And I built it up to over 700 and my truck caught on fire last December and insurance wouldn't cover it. So I'm about to eat $18,000 of a payoff, but I don't have the money to go buy a new vehicle. So I saved money for 6 months and kept paying my truck payment to keep my credit score up. And as soon as I could go get a different truck, I called the bank and said, come get it, and my score dropped 150 points, right? I had to do whatever I had to do to get through that. Having said that, I've learned now there's so much money out there that if I found a place that I could use for a business, let's call it a podcast studio, but it had living quarters, i.e., a house, I could go find investors who will get that property for me to get a piece of it. And I now have a home and a studio together. Right. So while I couldn't fix my credit and don't have the down payment and rental history to buy a house, what I did go out and do is build all massive social media platforms that connected me with all kinds of people that can now allow me to put this deal together without having a credit score or cash.
Well, I know it sounds redundant, but network is net worth, right?
I've done that in 2 years.
That's
From
beautiful.
nothing to this. Yeah. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
there's a lot of ways, like you said, you said 12, and I bet if you put your mind to it, you could double or triple that probably.
Yeah, you're probably right. So,
but people are so limited by the rules they give us, and if you learn to look past the rules or treat them as guidelines, you could move in a lot more ways.
oh yeah, in fact, it's not people's fault. It's really the school system. They teach you an in the box way of thinking, which is fine for an employee, but outside the employee world, that's a bad mindset to have. And it can take a few years for you to break out that mindset mentally. And then it can take a few years after that to break out of it emotionally. So you may actually know you can do something different, but your emotions don't necessarily follow. It can take a few years from that to actually do out of the box thinking. But the school system doesn't really encourage creative or critical thinking. It actually attacks your ability to think.
Well, yeah, it needs a blue collar workforce. Well, think about it. Psychologically, it makes sense, right? If you
Well, it
do
does.
this, the cream of the crop, the entrepreneurs will rise to the top and figure it out, right? Because they don't teach that to us. Those people naturally are going to rise. They know it, but we were built on manufacturing, more than anything. And so we wanted that workforce. But think about ex-cons, felons. We have around 3 million convicted felons in this country. 2.999 million of them will always be blue collar workers. They will never be able to break through that glass ceiling. There'll be landscapers, roofers, house framers, truck drivers, heavy equipment operators, oil rig workers. But we need all of them. You think
Right.
about it. It works as much as it sucks.
No, that's actually a great segue into the next question. So, as a ex-felon, this actually kind of hits close to home for me because one of my contacts, he is an ex-felon, and he owns a local vegan restaurant, and he's actually pretty vocal about this. It's called Iconic Eatery here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It's one of the best vegan restaurants in the Metroplex. And in the interview, he kind of spoke on how, like, when he did get out, like, he had limited options, but he had this skill set. So he just went into business for himself, and he really made it work. So would you say that entrepreneurship or freelancing is it's an option that a lot of ex-felons should consider? But go ahead.
No, here's how I would answer that. I rebuilt my life with a CDL, commercial driver's license. And I'm telling you right now, for anybody, that is a great way to build your life. Because by my second year, I was pulling right down $100,000 gross a year. And I was living in my truck. I didn't have an apartment. I didn't have to have a car. Because when I got back to the terminal, they had a van I could use, right? So I just committed to just working my tail off and stacking money. That's probably one of the most efficient ways you can do it. Now, psychologically speaking, when you come out of the joint, you've hit, hopefully your rock bottom, you've disappointed everybody, broken everybody's heart and trust, right? There's no expectations on you. And can I tell you how freeing it is when you are unencumbered with expectations or debt? Because all that debt gets charged off. So you're going to walk out of prison debt free and nobody expects anything from you. Do you know how empowering that is? When you realize it, bro, and then when you can learn to tell you control the narrative in front of you about being an ex-con, you tell the story first so people can't use it against you. That's a tool. So I speak to a lot of men when I get a chance in prison or just out of prison. Like, I don't think you realize that in a way the gift you've been given.
Wow, that's a perspective I just hadn't thought about. Like, because human beings kind of live and die by these expectations that we put on each other, and that could be very liberating. And then you can actually sit down and really decide exactly what you want to do and how you're going to do it. And the filter that expectations go through, it's just not going to be there.
I used to make mountains out of molehills, and I stopped doing that for some reason. But now I don't. I have people tell me all the time, you can't do this. I want to go film here. I'm gonna see if I can get permission. Oh no, they'll never let you. Or you have to go through proper channels. No, I don't. I know a guy who knows a guy, and I'm gonna call him right now, right? And that's how I get. I mean, that's how I get into places. I'm gonna. Can I share a story with you about networking?
Oh, by all means.
Okay, so I walked across America last year. I walked from New York to California. It took me 7.5 months to walk 2,800 miles. So prior to walking to this, I'd broken up with a girl and was homeless. So I am trying to make friends or connections with everybody I can, strangers on social media, to find financial support for this. One of the guys I reached out to owns a NASCAR team, like a Sunday NASCAR team, the number 44 car. They never win, but that's not the point. It's a 200-mile-an-hour billboard. Okay, that's their business model. So I reached out to him. I only had a couple of conversations. Then I walked across the country, didn't hear from him again. This past March, Morehouse College had a professional sports day on a Saturday. And I knew NASCAR was going to be there, Major League Baseball, and I think the NFL. Well, this was closed, but because I know some people at Morehouse, I got in, right? And I spent the whole week in Atlanta waiting on this day. I didn't know what was going to happen that day. I didn't know who was actually there. I just felt like I needed to be in that room. So I literally picked my life up, flew out of Boston to do some things, then to Atlanta, and sat here for that day. As soon as I walked in that auditorium, on stage is John, the guy that owns the NASCAR team. And I see him give me a little wave, right? I've only ever talked to him on DMs, and that was a year ago. So right after he comes up, he's like, man, you got to come to the race tomorrow. I'm like, there's a NASCAR race tomorrow? He's like, yeah. So we go to Atlanta Motor Speedway. He gives me pit passes and garage passes. I'm with the teams and crew chiefs while they're changing tires in the middle of the race. You know what I'm talking about? So I see a woman that I had met the previous year at homecoming, and she goes, I want you to meet my boss. So I meet this guy named Mike, who owns the largest tailgating company in America. He owns 150 luxury motorhomes, and he needs help with social media. I have taken these RVs now to Vegas, to the Kentucky Derby, to Talladega, to Daytona. At Talladega, I took a $500,000 RV into the driver's and owner's private lot, walked out, and there's Bubba Wallace sitting next to me, the driver, the only black driver in NASCAR. Just random. I'm like, I went to 7 races this year in RVs. It hasn't cost me a dime. All because I reached out to John now 2 years ago, started conversation, knew I wanted to go to the event, ran into him. He invited me to the race. I met Mike. And now I'm inviting congressmen to go to races, NASCAR races this next year. I've already had several congressmen say they want to come out and go. Networking. I had an instinct, and I developed that instinct. And now John, the team owner, is a good friend of mine.
You know, George, let's take a step back real quick, because you already know I'm a serial networker, and you're clearly very good at networking. But what about the person that they perceive themselves as the average person, and they may be given this opportunity, but they're intimidated to forge a relationship with someone that in their mind is like just so much more successful and a higher stature than themselves? What advice would you give to them to just kind of break out that shell, that mentality, and just start to make friends and make connections?
That's a good question, I think, because there comes some imposter syndrome and that perceived power imbalance. Like I said, I drove a dump truck 2 years ago. I'm just a guy from a small town in Arkansas. I'm not somebody, I'm just a dude with a crazy life. But I went to dinner with somebody that used to play for the Philadelphia Eagles. He was a first round draft pick, and cool dude. So we're at a restaurant in Philadelphia, and these people keep coming up to saying hi to him. And he's introducing me as his guest of honor, right? Which is a little weird for me. But afterwards, I'm kind of like, I don't understand people's fascination with me, like some celebrities that are. And he's like, because game knows game. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, we can't tell stories like you. He goes, I don't know anybody that does what you do. He goes, so in my mind, you're at the top of the pecking order. And he's an NFL Super Bowl player, right? He goes, in his mind, he's one of the best receivers in the league during his stint. He goes, so to me, I see you eye to eye. And that helps shape my perspective. Like, I have quality and I have value right where I am doing what I'm doing to somebody that I deem as an expert in their field, right? That I was a little starstruck by, and they were starstruck by me. So I want people to understand that imbalance exists on both sides, but you're creating a narrative and perception about yourself. You don't have to be somebody for somebody to perceive you as somebody.
Nicely put.
I need that on a shirt. You don't have to be somebody for somebody to perceive you as somebody.
If you start that clothing line, let me know. I'll be sure to grab one.
Do you know why I haven't started a clothing line?
Why?
Because all my big creator friends, a lot of them, when they start merchandise and stuff, that's pretty much the apex of their journey, and then they start that one down.
Oh, wow. So you've seen that commonality in them.
Their content becomes a commodity.
Oh. Wow.
Just you start watching, you don't pop up as much anymore. Because if you're doing social media, right? Now you're an entrepreneur, so you've got other things going. You use social media to build other verticals, right?
Yeah.
You understand the power of it. Most people think social media is just a game, right? That's what they do, but you've got to have something else, because this is a dead end road if you just make lip sync videos that go viral. There is no business, there is no relationships. So the power, again, use how you use social media, but you can literally be a nobody and create the perception of being somebody by looking into your phone.
The more you're saying it, the more I want to see it on a t-shirt. I know you just say you're not going to do it, but like,
what was the quote? The perception is what? How did I say that? Crap. The perception.
I guess you can see it on the replay.
Yeah. Getting old. I mean, I think of great shirt ideas all the time. If I had an easy way to print them, because I'm never in one place very long, I would probably print them and wear them. Because this is the most valuable real estate in my content, is my shirt. Like, that Prison of Purpose has probably been seen 30, 40 million times. That's a friend of mine who gave it to me. It's old, faded, worn out, but I love the shirt. But that shirt,
do people come up and start conversations with you about it? Like, where'd you get that shirt? Or that's a cool shirt. Yeah.
Because it stands out to you, prison to purpose.
Yeah.
And a buddy of mine, he's the first convicted felon to be hired by the state of Arkansas as a full-time employee. And they sent him all over the country learning how to build reentry programs. And that man had pending dope charges when they hired him, and they made him go away. He spent almost 20 years of his 50-something years in prison. Like, he was a dirtbag. I mean, A+ platinum credit dirtbag. He turned his life around. Like, I didn't know he could turn his life around. That man would have sold you pull chalk as booger sugar and never felt bad about it.
Man, it's just the power that it just speaks volumes to anyone can turn their life around.
Commonalities usually are Heavenly Father, though. It was for me.
Gotcha. Okay. So I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but I still want to hear what you have to say to this question. But given everything that you're doing, because you're like me, you're off the job market. But what keeps you off the job market? What I mean by that, you've been like full-time, what you're doing for a few years now. But what keeps you off the job market?
My last W-2 job was driving a dump truck, and I realized I was renting my time out to somebody doing circles with dirt. And I was 52 years old at the time, 51 and 52. And I just realized I was wasting my life. I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't impacting the world in any measurable way that I want, it left a bad taste in my mouth. That's all I was doing, is renting my time for $30 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And so some doors I reached. I reached out to a complete stranger who could not be the more opposite of me in every way you can imagine. Okay. I don't want to put her out there this way, but could not be more opposite of me. And I reached out, and she's very successful at helping people build businesses, etc. And never spoke to her. I said, "Hey, can I pick your brain?" So we had a couple of Zooms, and I picked her brain. And she ended up sending me a couple of months, 3 months salary, and said, go change the world. And she's never asked for anything from me, and I've never met her in person. From a couple of Zooms. That's a large chunk of money she sent me. And so I used that to start traveling, and I just pinched pennies. My partner at the time was real supportive. She was down. And then I just kept going. And now I vowed never to take a W-2 job again. Ever. I will fight and scratch and claw to never get a W-2.
I know when we talked on the phone, like I said this, you kind of laughed, but like nothing's changed. I said, so we're both psychologically unemployable at this point.
But it's knowing your value, Elijah, right? Like, I understand. Today I had lunch with a senior director of content strategy for one of the biggest tech companies in the world. Okay. It was just a friendly lunch. And we were talking about content and stuff, and I realized I don't have to. I've developed something that has value. Mm-hmm. Now it's incumbent upon me to go find people who place that same value on the skill that I have. But there's a lot of people who do. So when I realized that and I accepted it about myself, I knew that I don't ever have to go work for somebody ever again.
Well, I was going to whistle, but for whatever reason, my tongue didn't decide not to work. There we go.
There we go. I'll give you one.
Yeah, but that's music to my ears. Oh, go ahead.
No, but you being an entrepreneur, I wake up when I want. I go where I want. I talk to who I want, and I take what meetings I want. For once in my life, do I feel like I have freedom. Absolute freedom.
Oh, yeah. It kind of reminds me, because I last job I had was at Amazon. Initially, I was a warehouse worker. I got promoted to being a PA, which is a tier below area manager. But one thing I always had an issue with, it's not the job's fault because this is what they need. But I've always been like a slimmer guy. I've gotten bigger throughout the years, but I used to be, kind of skinny. And I couldn't really shape my body the way I wanted to, because when I'm lifting these heavy boxes or whatever, that is technically the workout. And I'd had to do a counter workout to counter what I'm doing there. And it was just too much work. So on top of that, I am an ex-cross country runner. So sometimes I'll be jogging and that's my workout, but I can't continue jogging. I feel like I have more in the tank to go, but I have to be at Amazon at this time. And I have to have that energy to be doing these boxes and stuff. So it's like, well, I have to cut this short, or I can't, you get what I'm saying? I can't do as much as I could do. And the moment I had left the 9 to 5, the whole thing changed. I could jog as long as I wanted to. I can do the kind of workouts I want. I could shape myself the way I wanted to. And after 6 months, I already knew like there's no way I could ever go back. And this is just on like the health and wellness side. But on every other side, the per hour stuff where your value is determined by some kind of regulated interval, whether it be salary or hourly, instead of you being able to charge what you're worth, a flat fee, and so you can get work done faster and get paid. It's just a completely different world. I can never imagine going back. I know I'm describing it and you're describing it, and the audience is kind of like, yeah, we get it, but like they're not gonna really feel it until they feel it. You know what I'm saying?
My best friend built a company. He retired at 50, sold the company for 9 figures. He walked away with 8 figures. Never had, his grandkids will never have to work again, right? And his life has no meaning. He's bored out of his mind, etc. I don't mean to go down that road. Like, it's not a great existence for him anymore to have everything. But I asked him, because he was in the mortgage and annuity business, and I asked him, I said, how did you step out and hire people and you have this massive monthly expense, and like there's all this. He goes, the best advice I've ever been given, and I'm going to share with you. He goes, when you jump off that ledge, when you are ready, a net will appear. He goes, you can't see the net. It's there, I promise you. And as soon as you jump, you'll see it. And he goes, do you know what it's called? I go, what? He goes, self-preservation. And that made sense to me. That made complete sense. So to rely on my instincts and experience and prayer and faith, and because the trick is not that it works out the way you want. The trick is that you can adapt and manipulate that situation to either benefit you or that the result that you're getting matches your altered expectation. That's really I'm not right all the time, by far. But when something happens, I'm really good at bending that world to fit what I need.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my personality. So again, people are very reactive instead of proactive, and badly reactive to bad news or trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And so, a bad reaction can devastate you.
Right. This is a good segue into this question. So, George, you're someone I can tell that will work very hard to get what you need and get what you want. What is the biggest challenge that you've encountered when it comes to maintaining a work-life balance as someone who is a self-employed or an entrepreneur?
Oh, I suck at it. I don't know if I'm the right person to ask.
It's fair enough if you haven't solved it, because I was going to ask, or have you not solved it yet?
No,
it might be an ongoing thing.
Well, people ask you, hey, what do you do for fun? I'm like, I don't do anything for fun. I have fun doing things. They're like, well, no, I have fun going fishing. I'm like, every time you don't. If your boat backs off you crash your boat into the lake wall, you didn't have fun, right? I said, so I have fun doing things, but there's nothing I do that's consistently fun, right? But I love what I do so much that I have stole from myself to give myself a break. Like, I have not allowed myself to, because I feel like if I take my foot off the gas, things will slow down.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm coming to a point I'm going to have to figure that out.
Gotcha.
But I'm single. I have no children. Like, I have thrown myself into this 7 days a week, every day. Just, that's the commitment level I think it takes.
I will say this. When you're pursuing your passion and you're pursuing it on your own terms, this is something that I think a lot of my friends don't actually understand. I'm actually not a huge vacation person. I'll say, they'll ask me when's the last time I've had a vacation? I actually don't remember the last time I had a vacation. Well, how can you do what you do without a vacation? It's kind of like vacation is a foreign concept, because what I do isn't dreadful. I enjoy what I do. So you're taking a vacation to essentially recharge and have some new experiences. I can get down with the new experiences part, but I don't ever really feel like I need a recharge because I don't have this like encompassing like dread or like fear, just like this unwillingness to do what I'm doing because I'm living life on my own terms and I'm passionate about it. Can you kind of relate to that?
Yeah, because I love what I do. They say if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life, right? And I feel that way. I remember if you ever watched Mr. Beast before, he will sit there and talk about how he spent a whole year obsessing over thumbnails, right? This level of dedication and insanity. Do I do I believe he spent a year studying thumbnails? No, I think it's complete BS. It's a great marketing story. Most of that story is. But aside from that, do I believe he was obsessed? Absolutely, I believe it. But I remember hearing it go, how? But I've become so obsessed with analytics and content and how I create and stories that I sort of get it now, right? But it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't feel like an obsession to me, just
Right,
everybody else.
right, yeah. So
But it takes it though. I'm 54. My time is short. I've got to make the most out of what I have. So I am gonna have the confidence and the energy a lot of people won't have.
got you. Yeah, I guess it's important to have that perspective too, right?
Yeah, I'm not getting younger.
Yeah. Well, none of us are getting younger, as far as I'm concerned.
Plus something else people don't think about in the world of AI. I'm not an AI user. I've never logged into an AI program yet. Um, I don't use it for my stories. I mean, I may use it for visuals someday, but my job is protected from AI because AI cannot do what I do.
Oh yeah. I
There's
mean,
job security.
yeah. And there's a huge phobic cloud that's hanging around everyone about like AI and it might replace jobs or it might make certain industries irrelevant and stuff like that. But one thing is never, I'm not saying it won't. It might, it probably will. But one thing it's never going to be able to replicate is genuine human connection.
It
Despite
can't
what some people think or want it to.
it can't interview people. It can't respond to body language, context clues, nuance, right? Timbre of the voice. It can't respond to any of those physiological clues. So in a way, I mean, and plus I think there's going to be such an AI backlash that the more organic and homegrown you stay, the more you're going to benefit. Because we're going to have an AI bubble. It's going to bust. There's going to be backlash. Trust me, it will. But that, again, in that chaos is great opportunity if you position yourself for it.
Just in the content creator space, I think some of that backlash is already happening. Because I watch YouTube. I don't really watch TV. I watch YouTube. Because nowadays, some of the greatest content available is actually just on YouTube. And I come across like these AI videos. Well, the video itself is an AI, but you can tell the voiceover is AI because they're mispronouncing words and it's just so annoying. And sometimes I'll stop the video. I'm about to click off because I just can't do it. Like either do the voice actor yourself or hire a voice actor or actress because it's mispronouncing words and not putting the gaps between sentences. And it just doesn't work for me. But I'm reading
But
the comments and people, for one out of every four comments, someone is annoyed. They're like, "Oh, this AI bullshit," or do the voiceover yourself." People are actually annoyed at this AI stuff.
the cool thing, I mean, that's now. But in
Yeah,
a few months from now, whatever it is, when that goes away or they stops getting blocked or the algorithm stops pushing it, they've spent all that time and they've really not developed a useful skill.
yeah,
Right. So they spent all that, they made this content that nobody wants to watch now. There's a backlash against. So what did they do? And so a lot of people are going that route, which is interesting. I mean, it makes me happy because that's just less competition for me.
right. Versus, let's say if you learn how to do some voice acting yourself, like you got Faceless channel, so you do it yourself. Well, now you're developing a skill set that not only can you make more videos with it, but you could go get a contract on ACX, Amazon's Audible, and make money that way, or you could do some gigs on Fiverr or Upwork and make money that way because voice acting is a skill and you developed it.
Oh, you just gave me that. This is how, if I was a voice actor and I wasn't known, but I thought I was really good, or people tell me I'm good, I would create a social media page, right? Like call it out of work voice actor. Voice actor needs a first job is what I would call it, be obvious. And every video I would be reading something in different voices and timbers, and I'd interrupt and go, what do y'all think? And I'd get the audience to participate with me and to critique my voice. And what should I try next? And I would build my brand around me fumbling around as a wannabe voice actor, right? I'd be organic. People will love it, and people will start tagging people that you want them to. And that's a great way to get those agencies to notice you as a voice actor.
Oh man. Yeah, I think it's like you're an inbound marketing expert. I mean,
Why inbound?
well, you're expert in. We've covered a lot of, like, from a content creator perspective, inbound marketing strategies. You covered a lot in that category. I just haven't heard anyone break it down like you have, and I think that's pretty unique because a lot of people just perceive inbound marketing, content creator wise, just making all this content and it's putting all this stuff out there, and eventually someone will bite. And I'm not saying what you said isn't doing that, but the creative structure you've outlined it for and the perspective will make it much, much more likely for that scenario to happen.
You're creating social currency by doing that. As an unknown voice actor, you create social currency. Then you can cash that in because it gives you some credibility. Because let's say you build a channel with 30, 40, 50,000 followers, right? To a lot of people, that's a big number. That's impressive.
Mm-hmm.
But you can also show all the engagement and all the comments of people who love your voice. Now, here's the thing. It's not even going to be about their voice. It's going to be about the emotional connection and the parasocial relationship that audience developed with that person on screen and their voice.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to show love and support. And then you can use that as currency to show somebody why you would be a great voice actor. Because you have hardcore proof people respond to your voice.
Yeah.
And that you can sell that. So, I mean, that's how that's why I say you can use social media. It's free to build anything.
Right. I was gonna ask you, like, what is it? Well, I was gonna ask you, like, what advice would you give a new content creator if they're starting out? But I think you kind of already shared it.
No. I'll tell you what I would tell you to do.
Okay.
If you want to be a content creator, you need to pick what you're going to do and stick with it. Don't be all over the place. Don't do lip syncing, posing, none of that crap. Stick to what it is you do. Do 100 videos in 60 days. Make them 60 to 70 seconds. Get good at that range, right? Because it's going to pay you differently on platforms. TikTok has to be over 60 seconds. So condition yourself to 60 to 70 seconds. So pick a subject, and let's say you want to make something about electronics, right? But how do you tell a story? Go find some unrelated genre. Let's say it's cooking, one of your favorite cooking creators who always goes viral. Study their content. Break it down, how their content is shot in jump cuts, movement, sound. Come over to your world and plug in electronics. They just gave you a formula. You'll never be identical, but you at least have a starting point. And every time you do a video, you're tweaking and you're getting better and better. And in 60 days, you'll have a real skill at making content. You'll have 100 pieces of content in that space that you wanted to cover. And more importantly, you have 100 videos of data to look at. Average watch times, links, how many followers are you gaining, etc. That's how I would do it. And I would learn to get really good at giving a hook the first 3 to 5 seconds of the video. And never, never under any circumstances say, hey, hi guys, hello, good morning. Study after study has shown people will scroll away based on that. The next thing is when you use captions, use black and white. Colorblind people can't read it if it's not black and white. And studies, MIT and Johns Hopkins both put out studies that people prefer simple black and white captions.
Ooh.
Simple things.
Well, it's usually the simple
that's
things.
how you do it. Huh?
It's usually the simple things that make you successful anyway.
And here's the thing, you're going to suck in your first 85 videos. I promise you. You're going to suck horribly. Nobody's going to see it. Nobody knows who you are yet. And the 17 people who do will love you and give you feedback and use that feedback to get better. But who cares if you suck right now? My first history videos are horrible. 7 minutes straight of me talking, no breaks. Horrible. But they did a few 100,000 views.
I kind of equate it to cold calling. Like maybe 2% of the population will be naturally good at cold calling, but for the other 98%, everyone sucks at first. Like you might have a script, and that script isn't going to mean anything for the first 5 cold calls. You're going to suck. The next 5, you'll start to get a bit of a rhythm, but you'll fumble towards the end. Then the next 5, you're going to start to realize, wait, these calls are the same as I'm having the exact same call. Then the next 5 calls, you'll be able to start finishing people's sentences, and then you're going to get your rhythm going. But you have to get through the first 20 to get there.
You got to collect no's.
Yeah.
Because they're all going to be a no when you fumble.
An automatic no.
But you need them to get your totals. I had a boss who say, did you get your no's today? No, because if you're getting no's, you're out there working. Right? Everybody wants to brag about the yeses. He knows how many no's did you get. Well, if he's wanting to go, if he knows you need 10 no's a day to try to get 1 or 2, then if you only got 6 no's, you didn't land 2 or 3 deals. You can tell by your no's what your productivity is going to be.
Yeah. Nicely put. So, George, we're going to start winding down the podcast.
Yes, sir.
But I'd like to ask my guests if they have a question that they want to hit me with. So do you have any questions you want to hit me with?
What is your goal that you've set to achieve 100,000 subscribers on YouTube? And what are you doing to do it?
Interesting you say that. I actually don't care about subscribers. I care about the money. But like, if I was going to set a goal for 100,000 subscribers, I had to pick which channel. So I guess the Side Hustler Society would be fine to do it because I have a few channels, as you know. What would I do to achieve that? I would pick probably I would find out what are the top 10 most successful podcasts in my niche. And I would study them. I watch them on a regular basis, see what they're doing, seeing what they're not doing that I'm still doing, and fill in the blanks, stop doing the stuff that they're not doing, start doing the stuff that they are doing to kind of come up with a formula to make sure the podcast starts to get more views. More views equals more subscribers. And that would be my objective of reaching a goal of 100,000 on the Side Hustler Society if I was aiming for the subscribers.
Okay. I just want to give you 2 observations of mine. Your sponsors care about that subscriber count a lot. I know it's an arbitrary number. You and I both know that, but it has currency when you want money to come in outside of views. Now, number 2, I would challenge you not to go watch your top 10 podcasts because what you're doing is homogenizing your content within those 10. You literally have just become homogenous, and now you're just another voice in the same fishbowl. But if you'll go look at somebody completely unrelated's podcast and start looking at the things they're doing and how they're doing it and the little tiny tweaks you can make to yours, you'll start to stand out in your space. And that's how you grow, because if you sound like everybody else, but if there's something a little different or slightly off, the human brain will connect with it, right? We'll be curious about it until we understand it.
Interesting. So when you say that, do you mean like a different type of content, or would?
Oh yeah, go find podcasts you enjoy.
Oh, so it would still be podcasts. Okay.
Yeah. I would stay in the same realm of medium, but go find something you enjoy completely unrelated to this. So let's say it was nutrition. I don't know. But as a podcast about nutrition you're fascinated with, your fascination is not just with the subject. It's how they're presenting the information to you. So if you enjoy it, there's something really good about that podcast, the way they're doing it. Start paying attention to it. So don't ever mix yourself with your competition. Stand out from them. Like there's nobody who does what I do on social media. There's not another white dude out there remotely looks like me, first off, that's going to historically Black colleges and teaching Black history, etc. I didn't set it up that way. It just turned out to be that way. But I accidentally became the OG of my own lane. Does that make sense?
No, it does.
So don't be like those 10. You just kind of give a nod of respect to them, and I say, watch what's about to happen, boys and girls. I'm competitive. I see people's numbers, and I'm like, how can I achieve that? How can I exceed it?
Mm-hmm.
And like I've met most of my goals, but there's a few that I've still got a little bit of catching up to do. And it might take me a year or two to do it, but I've let them know that I'm coming for them just because I'm competitive.
Gotcha.
Like how I get followers is a challenge for me that I enjoy.
Okay, so applying like what you just said, I'm just gonna throw like a show out there that I do watch outside of like my niche. Like, I used to be kind of big into the anime stuff. More of a casual this time around, but there's a show called Geekdom 101. I like listening to this show because that's the name he uses, but he's not really a geek in personality. It's actually a pretty cool dude. So find some stuff that has made him successful and find a way to incorporate it into what I got going on.
Yeah. You don't want to be successful you don't want your success to look like your competitor's success. Because there's only so much of the success of that in that space. But if you when you come in being different, you're going to bump some out of that space because you're going to expand in it.
You know, this is great advice because I've actually applied what you said in a different area of my life and became the king. I have a local vegan group called the Veggie Outers, where we go to vegan restaurants and review them on a scale of 1 to 10. But there are several like vegan groups out there when I started it. And ironically, they're no longer around. It circles back to consistency. But one thing that we did differently is we don't just go to the restaurant and just meet up and eat. No, we actually review the restaurant. And the Veggie Outers has its own YouTube channel. So I asked everyone there on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think of the food, the customer service, the atmosphere, like in the price? So they give their feedback. We show pictures of the food. And we also do other things outside of just going to restaurants. We'll go bowling together. We'll go to like arcades together. We'll go hiking together. So we're completely different from all those other groups. And eventually the bigger groups actually kind of faded out in the background. And the newer groups that are popping up trying to copy us, they can't do it. So we're actually kind of just the king of the Metroplex when it comes to vegan meetups.
You know, I just thought of a 10-part series you could do on vegan. Past 10, it'll probably get old real quick. But you do a 10-part series on taking meat eaters to a vegan restaurant. Just to be fun, right? Just to kind of like, okay, what am I trying? This ain't bad. This ain't near me. But this ain't, man, I'm telling you, few of those will be viral because the personalities and charisma, it's not about the vegetarian. It's the personality of the person trying it.
Well, it's interesting you say that because the Veggie Outers, it's not we're not calling food tribalism. Like there are non-vegans in it too. It's all about like we're gonna go try vegan food. But
you know what I'm saying though.
I get what you're saying.
Intentionally find 10 people who are not vegans, maybe who make fun of you for it, but say just I'm not converting you, but would you come try it on camera for me? And you can hate on it all you want because the camera's on. Right? That's catnip.
Ooh, I like that.
Right? Because people I'm not a vegan. I'm a carnivore through and through, right? But I respect vegans. I'm just never going to be one unless my life depended on it, maybe. Or I die. I don't know. I like meat too much and I don't like veggies. But
fair enough.
My point is, would I go to a vegan restaurant? Sure, I'd be getting a Caesar salad. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to venture very far out because I'm not a foodie. But I'm going to bitch in such a creative way. It's good content. Like I know the purpose of the video, right? So I know I'm going to bitch in clever, kind of underhanded ways. I'm going to make my vegan jokes, but that's what you want. Because people want to hate on vegans, right? You're the vegan getting a meat eater to try it. So they're rooting for the person not liking it. So you get the carnivores loving your content. Yeah, another meat eater who hates vegetables. That gets you paid, right?
You know,
you want the haters. You want the haters to side with the meat eater.
George, I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Do you want to know why the Veggie Outers is the biggest quote unquote vegan group in the Metroplex?
Why? Hot girls?
Well, actually, that's part of it too. But that's not what I was going to say. The pictures speak for themselves. I'm just saying. But I was going to say we're the only group that non-vegans will go to and hang out with us. That plays a big role in it. All these other groups is mainly the same group of vegans coming up, and
The amount of tribalism and the mental gymnastics you're giving me in the justification of your vegan group is insane. I love it. We're the only one that the meat eaters will hang out with because they don't like those other weirdos.
well, I'm just calling a spade a spade. It's just it is what it is.
Wow. I mean, think about it. It's like saying I'm not racist because I have black friends, right? Like I'm a cool vegan because I got meat eater friends. That's the same thing, isn't it? What is that called when people do that? Are you meat knighting? Is that what it's called? Meat knighting, like white knighting, meat knighting?
I have no idea. There's a term for everything nowadays.
I just took this podcast off the rails.
You know what? My audience actually likes when we go off the rails a little bit because, let's be honest, podcasts stick to the script too much. They get too boring, too formulaic. So let's go off the rails a little bit.
Do you know what Tom Brady doesn't visit Afghanistan?
What?
Because they have sex with goats over there.
Okay, not that off the rails. Damn. Yeah, that's definitely a fun fact I didn't need to know.
Do you know that American kids are starting to use a metric system in high school now? 9 millimeters.
You know, you said you had bad dad jokes. I don't get that impression.
Oh, we just found out my granddad's addicted to Viagra. My poor Nana's taking it so hard. Like she's having such a hard time with my grandpa.
Now I can see how you would be that dude at a dinner table, like whatever they're talking about, you're gonna steal the show and be the center of the whole table just by saying one of those things. It's like every conversation is gonna stop. Like, what? It's like someone blows a bullhorn and it just stops everything. That all attention is on you.
Did you hear the Energizer Bunny got arrested last night?
Oh gosh.
He was charged with battery. But the authorities had to move him into a Duracell.
Oh gosh. Do you rehearse this or you just come up with this stuff on the fly?
You know, I don't have any kids that I know of. You know, with all these dad jokes, does that make me a faux pas?
No.
We used to live next door to these amazing lesbians, right? They were hot and they were so sweet. And they got me a Rolex for Christmas one year. Which I thought kind of crazy because I just said I want to watch.
Yeah, it's like you got these memorized. Oh god.
You know how I did, but this is how I got good at it at gas stations. I would always tell a gas station attendant a dad joke to see if I could make him laugh because it's not a fun job to me. So I'm always trying to be clever and just make somebody laugh when I walk away, right? It's how you make them feel. But I didn't realize by doing it that I had developed a comedy routine. So when I did stand-up comedy, I realized I just went up, I didn't prepare. I just went up and told my dad jokes. And then I have one that I do that I wrote that is
juvenile. What's the word?
Okay, well, the
English
English word,
you had to say it, but like if it's not appropriate, but like what?
Oh no, it's not that. There's
150,000
words in the English language, and I'll leave you with this before we end this podcast. 150,000 words in the English language. Now, the average American knows 100 to 120,000 of those 150,000 words. So I'm going to take 14 words, 14 random innocent words that everybody knows. No vulgarity, just innocent words. But I'm going to string them together in such a way that if I had an audience right now, a third of you were going to laugh out loud, a third of you are going to roll your eyes and question whether you're going to heaven or hell, and about a third of you are going to want to leave the room. 14 innocent words. Are you ready for those words?
Should I go get some vegan popcorn first?
No, it's just 14 of them. Did you hear the joke about the baby with cancer?
Okay.
It never grows old.
Oh my gosh. I guess,
Bro,
did my eyes roll?
I set the mic down and I listened. I was about off the stage when I heard the applause start, and just it ruined it because I nailed it. Like I nailed it. People were like, it just, laughter's infectious, right?
Oh yeah, just like
people, they don't want to miss out on the joke either. So as I caught it, because I've been telling this joke for a while, and as I did it, I heard it. My adrenaline was like better than any drug I've ever tried. And I've tried them all almost. But it was like, I can't explain it. And I remember I was sitting there, my leg was shaking, and my girl's like, calm down. I'm like, I got to get outside. I can't sit here. My adrenaline was just because I controlled the room, right?
Yeah.
That was yeah. So when at dinner parties, yes, I learned to drop a joke like that and then just be quiet. Just put all that energy out into the room and then just pull it back. And if people want more of it, that's how you learn to public speak.
I think that's a good ending note right there. But before we do end, we gotta ask you, people who want more of you, George, where can they get in contact with you? Feel free to drop your Instagram, etc.
Google White George. I mean, they call me White George because I'm white. My name is George, and it would be awkward if I were Black George. But if you just Google White George and click video tab, my TikTok, Instagram, Facebook will all pop up. You'll see my big ugly head.
Okay. Well, everyone, this has been another episode from the Side Hustler Society. If don't forget to like the video with the YouTube algorithm or all the algorithms. Thumbs up if you found value in it. Very much appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new and drop us a review if you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple, etc. Be sure to tune in to the next episode. Be safe, everyone, and be profitable.
This episode may be over, but your hustling journey has just started. Visit thesidehustlersociety.com to access all links and resources mentioned in the show that will help you on your hustler's journey.